We are ready to start. First of all, welcome and to everybody. Thanks a lot for attending this presentation. Really appreciate it. My name is Stefan Larsen, and I am the head of environmental service solutions in EMEA for Lenovo. And what I'm going to present to you today is our brand new Lenovo CO2 Offset Service. So, I think everybody knows that for quite a while there's been a lot of focus on environmental solutions. And I think with the latest Paris Agreement, that attention has become even bigger as we speak. And I think also it's quite obvious to everybody that we as a vendor in Lenovo also want to follow that and help our customers and partners in the market follow that trend. But what most of you might already also know is the fact that this is actually an area where Lenovo already have done quite a lot. We started some times ago, actually. And I also need to emphasize the fact that it is an ongoing process we as a vendor keep moving towards. And we keep looking and investigating and how can we as a vendor become much more environmental and solution oriented when it comes to this area. And just to mention a few areas where we've actually done quite a lot of things are some obvious overall areas. First of all, for instance, we found out that we can use bamboo in the inner packaging on our packages. And why is this such an environmental friendly way? Well, basically it is because bamboo creates less CO2 than, let's say, normal trees does. By doing it this way, we could actually reduce the CO2 from an overall point of view. Another thing that might also be of your interest is the fact that we actually have found a technique that we can actually manufacture our products at a lower temperature. And what does that mean? Well, basically that means that whenever you can reduce the temperatures, it means less CO2. And I think an important emphasis here is also that we have actually shared these techniques with friends in the markets so they can use the same thing. It also goes without saying that we also actually are also using and recycling quite a lot of plastic. And I think it goes without saying that we all seen the challenges around plastic. So the fact that we, from a corporate point of view, can recycle a lot of plastic has also played in the advantage of really using this as a proactive, environmental friendly solution. And all this, of course, is really good and really fine. And it's really moving our corporations in the right direction and also where our customers want to go. But one of the things that we've been asked for our customers is that this is all great and fine, Lenovo, but how can it become more relevant, more tangible for us as a customer? Because all this is really good and really fine, but it's all overall. Because how can we as a corporation put into our sustainability approach that you use bamboo in your packaging material? So a year ago, I was sitting in this conversation and I thought, okay, we need to look at this from perhaps an even different angle now. And for the last 3 years, actually, Lenovo have been able to measure the total CO2 per model. And what does it mean with total CO2 per model? Well, total CO2 per model actually consists of 3 elements. 1, manufacturing, 2, shipment, and 3, average use up to 5 years. So if you add these 3 together, the manufacturing, shipment, and average use of that given model, you actually have the total CO2 per model. And then we thought, okay, if you have the actual CO2 per model, what if you could actually incorporate a CO2 offset on that amount into the configuration so that when the customer receives the unit, it is end-to-end CO2 compensated. And in brief, that is what our Lenovo CO2 Offset Service is all about. Bringing tangibility into the pictures towards our customers so that they can actually follow their sustainability goals. How does it work? Well, it works quite simple. So, first of all, you basically just choose the CO2 offset option when you build the configuration. Once we ship the report, we will send a report to our official CO2 partner, and they would send a certificate, and I will get back to that, with the specific hardware and serial number on. It is that simple. So all your customers need really to focus on is whether they want to have the CO2 compensated unit into it. It's still an option, but the customers can choose to have their unit offset from the very beginning. So what are the benefits? Well, the benefits are, again, we wanted to make it tangible, but we also wanted to make it easy for our customers and business partners to implement in a hardware transaction. The CO2 compensation is really based on realistic emissions by product, as I said, covering shipment, manufacturing, and up to 5 years. We can on existing Lenovo devices as long as the products are no older than 3 years old, because basically this is where we start measuring it per model. What you will also then get is a really tailored approach on the CO2 linked to your direct purchases. So basically, there is a fine line end to end from what you order, what you build into it, and the certificate that you receive. So coming back to the certificate, whenever our customers are choosing the CO2 offset service, they have to receive an e-certificate on their given purchase. In that certificate, there is a specific amount, how many metric tons that has been offset. It also indicates what project it's been offset to, when it was offset, the company name, and the serial numbers that are included in this. With this e-certificate, everything now becomes very tangible, because now there is a clear line between the order, how many metric tons that's been offset, what project's been supported, when it was retired, which corporation it was retired to, and the specific serial number it was retired on. And this is now when everything's really becoming tangible, because with this certificate, the customers can actually use this in their sustainability report with given factual data. So now it's not only a matter of the fact that they are purchasing a PC where bamboo are in the inner material. Now there is a clear number, how many metric tons that's been offset, the given project, when it was, and the specific serial number it was based upon. So this e-certificate can now directly be used in the sustainability report for our customers, and in an easy way, because we sent this to the customers once the order is done and the customer confirms they want the certificate. When we talk about projects and CO2 projects in specific, there is a huge variety of projects out there. And that is why we in Lenovo have used quite a lot of substantial time in evaluating how do we do this. Because we want to do this in a solid way so that we know exactly that the projects go to whatever it goes to. And it all starts when we do the CO2 offset calculation. We always make sure that we do it in a conservative way, meaning that we make sure that we do not undercompensate. Some might say, well, do you overcompensate? It could be we overcompensate a bit, but that is to make sure we do not undercompensate. And at the end of the time, it's all in favor of the environment. We also support only offset projects that are already in operations, meaning that the windmills are there, the solar panels are there, and so on and so forth. And that is to make sure that we do not that are still in an investment mode and might break and not happen due to the lack of investments. It is also important for us that all our offsets are being third-party independent controlled. Why is this? Well, basically because we want an independent party to look into this, making sure that everything is in line with what it says it is. We also only or mainly select CO2 offset projects via United Nations, and I'm going to come back to that in a little while. What is also important is that we have weekly meetings with our offset partner to keep full control of the process and the offset projects. So we are always on top of this to make sure that everything is being followed like the way it is supposed to. What is also important is that we in Lenovo are on the look all the time for new CO2 offset projects. Should there be any new ways of thinking? And also, are there new trends in the market where you should support something more than others? So we are always in a close dialogue around this, making sure that whatever is the latest, we at least have taken into consideration. But what is also important to emphasize is that we will not bring in new projects unless they follow all our selection rules as described. That is, again, to make sure that all those specific rules are being followed. So we are actually one of the very first vendors to do this together with United Nations climate change. And one of the things that we do quite a lot is basically work closely with United Nations around which projects should be in scope in our portfolio. And I think what is also extremely important is to emphasize that not only are they supporting local climate actions, but also supporting local social actions. What does this mean? Well, local climate actions, for instance, is the fact that in some of these areas, natural energy sources would not have been the first natural choice. By doing it this way, we are actually creating a synergy, making sure that not only do we create green energy, but we also have a higher tendency to avoid, let's say, the other energy that normally otherwise would have been implemented. I think what is also important to emphasize is the fact that there's social actions around this. So by these projects, it will also generate a lot of local jobs for local people that might not have got a job. And that is also an aspect that we very much look into, and we very much appreciate the fact that we not only are green, but we're also social. So again, the Lenovo CO2 Offset Service. We have done this to help our customers follow their sustainability strategy and goals. We have done this because we want to make it easy for our customers in the selection phase. And we want to make sure that everything is according to all rules and legislations. But we also want to make it tangible for our customers so that they can use this proactively in their sustainability report, so that they can show that they actually, whatever they do, have an impact in a positive set. So what about this service? Can it be sold globally? Yes, this is a global service. What about this service? Can it be sold as a standalone? Yes, it can be sold as a standalone. Can it also be sold to already installed base? Yes, we can sell it already to installed base as long as the installed base of Lenovo is no older than 3 years old.